we're going to be talking about the impact of chronic stressors on Black wellness, meaning how does it show up? What are some signs and symptoms? But most importantly, how do we begin to manage it? What's the impact? You can always count on your body to tell you what's going on in your world. And so to that end, our bodies are hardwired with responses to tell us what's going on around us, if we're feeling good, if we're feeling celebrated, or if we're feeling stressed. And so our body responds to our circumstances and our surroundings. And so if you can imagine, all these threats that I mentioned prior are things that are happening surrounding us. I use the word threat intentionally because whereas stressors are mild disruptions or irritants to your day-to-day norm, you're going to get back to your baseline and you're going to be okay. But threats actually have the potential to bring harm or danger, which danger can likely lead to death. We have stressors. Oh my God, I need to clean up the house. I have tons of things to do. I got to figure out how to get my kid in school. I have to figure out how to coordinate doctor's appointments for my parents. These are all stressors. And our body has a positive stress response to that. It includes behavior that is normal, and it's an essential part of healthy development. We're going to experience some level of stress. Stress comes when we're transitioning, maybe jobs or developmental phases or new environments or new homes. We've relocated, new life experiences like marriage or having children. Our body is going to have a positive stress response to that. But we move out of that positive stress response, we then go to a tolerable stress response. And so that's when our body is kind of like, something's a little bit more concerning here. And so that tolerable stress response activates the body's alert system. It's what we call our fight, flight, or freeze. And it activates that system to a greater degree than the positive stress response, because excitement is still going to activate a stress response. And so it's going to be positive, but the tolerable stress response is going to activate it beyond that. And it's often due to more severe, longer lasting events, such as institutional racism or homophobia or imposter syndrome, or lack of representation or health conditions that you're facing. You're now beyond that positive stress response, and that your body will literally say, okay, this is a stress response. This is healthy. We can tolerate it. When the stressors become more severe, it challenges the body system. It recognizes that the stress is more severe or more longer lasting. This could be you managing parents, children, friends with chronic illnesses, or this could be you being in a workplace that is very stressful, high stress, where you're feeling a lot of isolation, a lot of imposter syndrome. You feel the stress of it, right? So there's this tolerable stress that it strains the body in more of a way than positive stress. Then we have a step further, and this is where I often find Black folks. I have seen more frequently that we usually experience a more toxic stress response. And so this often occurs when we experience more frequent and prolonged adversity. We're more likely to experience toxic stress responses, where we having that fight or flight is not only being activated, but it's being prolonged. So when your fight or flight is activated, it is not intended for you to be activated for a long time. The fight or flight is basically our internal defense system that when we perceive a threat, it's activated. We do what we need to do to get rid of that threat, and then we're back to our equilibrium and our body is functioning. It's not overproducing, it's not underproducing. But we're in that toxic stress space because we are constantly having these strong, frequent, and prolonged adverse experiences. Now we move into this toxic stress response, and we kind of hang out there longer than we need to, for better, for worse. And this can include emotional, physical abuse, economic hardship, exposure to violence, exposure to racism. This type of stress is the most harmful. This is the type of stress that we experience most frequently.